This budget-friendly ute makes other utes twice its price feel outdated and overrated, and I'm going to tell you why in this review. G'day, I'm Matt. This channel is called The Right Car, and I'm going to help you find the right ute for your needs. In this review, is this it? Well, it's going to depend on what your needs are and what your preferences are, because there's a fair bit to cover in the GWM Cannon ute range. I'm going to tell you all about it, so stay tuned. When the Great Wall Cannon ute launched in Australia a few years ago, it was exceptional value for money, but prices have gone up roughly $5,000 over that period for some variants in the range. So it isn't necessarily as mind-blowingly affordable as it was, but still the market has shifted up anyway. So if you're looking at a top spec version like this one, this is the Cannon X, you'll see the price for it on your screen now. That's comparable to what you might be paying for a 5-year-old Hilux or Ranger with 200,000 kilometers on the clock. Yeah, neither of those come with 7 years of warranty for your money either. And this car comes with a bunch of stuff that they don't have as well. So you've got LED lighting, you've got 18-inch alloy wheels, you've also got heated seats, and a lovely plush quilted interior, which looks fantastic and actually offers a fair bit of comfort, and I'll show you that shortly. If you can't spend quite that much, then you can save yourself a few $1,000s and get the Cannon L. It's still very well equipped, also with 18-inch wheels and LED lights. Still a dual cab, still with the diesel engine and automatic, and 4-wheel drive as standard too. And at the bottom of the range is the entry-level Cannon. Now, it's also available with rear-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive, so it depends what you need. Now, there's also a dual cab chassis version of the Cannon ute that's just been launched here in Australia, and there could be more variants coming. We'll have to wait and see. Getting a whole lot of ute for not a whole lot of money is a bit of a task in 2023, and so there aren't as many options available to you if you are looking for a really budget-friendly, feature-packed ute as you might expect that there would be. So the best ones, I reckon, are the SsangYong Musso. Now, it might not be known as a SsangYong for much longer. They've been taken over by a different company, and so they're going to rebrand globally, but still, it's a very affordable ute with plenty of features. It's pretty decent to drive as well, and there's the choice of 2 different tub lengths for that model. So there's the standard one or the XLV, which is more comparable to this sort of tub. It doesn't necessarily have all the safety technology that this ute has, but it could be the right ute for you if you are on a strict budget. And then there's the likes of the LDV T60. Look, I don't think that's the best ute that you can choose in the affordable segment of the market, because it's just not as refined as this or the SsangYong. But it is budget friendly, and it does have big power and torque. And if that's what matters to you most, 500 Newton meters of grunt from a 4-cylinder diesel is quite a bit. It's about 25% more than this ute has. Then it could be the right ute for you. This ute is one of the bigger utes in the mid-size segment of the market. So it's bigger than a Ranger, Mazda BT50, Hilux, D-Max, or Triton. It's more than 5.4 meters long. So as you can probably see, it's a big bopper, but it's also got a big tray, and it's got some really interesting features in the tray area. Let me show you. The Great Wall ute has some tricks up its sleeve when it comes to the tub area. You've got a full lining in here, which is great. It's a proper durable spray-in tub liner. Plus there's this handy little ladder that allows you to get in and out of the tub without any real fuss whatsoever. That's one of the more ingenious options available in the dual cab ute segment. Usually only see that on the American big pickup trucks, so that's nice to see from a more affordable brand especially. Inside, there are a bunch of different tie-down points that you can secure your load. Plus, you will also see the dimensions on your screen now. This is one of the bigger dual cab tubs of the utes in this segment, the mid-size ute segment. The Cannon X does feel like you're getting a more special example of this ute, and that's partly down to the fact that it does get this quilted finish on the seats. Now, it is partly leather, but also partly not leather, and you'll also find that quilting on the doors too, which does lift the ambience of this cabin quite a bit. Otherwise, it does have some nice elements to it too. You've obviously got this big touchscreen media system with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You have to plug in your phone though, it's not wireless. wireless, which actually might be better for some people. There are buttons and dials below the screen, which I appreciate, although you still have to interact with the screen quite a bit if you are playing with the different menus and that sort of thing. At least you've got a recirc button, you've got temperature and fan dials as well. Seat heater button here as well, which is nice. You just have to adjust some things on the screen after you press it. Having spent a bit of time in this car, I reckon the screen is pretty easy to get to terms with, but not necessarily as intuitive as it could be. Look, there might be a new screen coming for the Great Wall Canon. Have a look on screen now and you'll see that there are updates that may be applicable to Australian models at some point. Maybe a new top spec model might score that more interesting interior design which was unveiled at the Shanghai Motor Show this year in 2023. So let me know, do you reckon that looks better or this? I actually think I'd prefer this more conventional layout when it comes to the cabin. There's also a driver information screen in front of the driver in that binnacle there, so no traditional dials, but you do get illustrated dials and also a digital speedo, and there's a bunch of other trip info in that screen as well. When it comes to the fit and finish of this car, look, this particular ute has 25,000 kilometers on it. So it's had a life already, especially being passed between motoring journalists. We're typically not easy on cars, but look, it's held up pretty well, honestly. All the trim is still in place. There is no rattling or noisy stuff going on in here. I reckon it's done a pretty good job. When it comes to the materials, again, seats are great. There's a nice soft padded section here around the transmission tunnel. So if you are off-roading, you will not have a bruised knee at the end of it, which you might be surprised how often that happens. And look, the steering wheel maybe is a bit big, but it is pretty easy to get your head around the controls there as well. When it comes to storage, you've got a pair of cup holders here, a little slide forward drawer, and a lift up covered center console bin, big bottle holders in the doors as well. No pop-out cup holders on the edges of the dashboard, which some tradies love, my dad included, and there's a wireless phone charger here. So there could be a little bit more storage, but it's not too bad. Let's check out the back seat. The space in the back of this ute is exceptional. This seat is set for me at 182 centimeters or 6 foot tall. And I've just got so much space back here, it's ridiculous. Like heaps of knee room, lots of foot room, heaps of headroom, and it's a wide cabin as well. Some of the other utes in this segment can feel pretty cramped if you're trying to fit 3 adults across the back, but that won't feel the case in this ute because it does have a very wide cabin, and it's also got hardly any transmission tunnel intrusion down there as well. Plus there are some really nice features, speaking of down here. You've got directional air vents, which is nice to have. There's a 220 volt plug, which is also a really nice option if you are maybe charging up a laptop or a power tool, depends what you're using your ute for. There's a USB charge port down there as well. And when it comes to storage, you've got a couple of map pockets on the seat backs. There's bottle holders in the doors. There's a flip down armrest. It doesn't have cup holders, but you should be okay if you've got those bottle holders in the doors. Now, one thing I just want to call out about this ute is that not only does it have really nice trim and the seat comfort is really good for a dual cab ute, there's also ISOFIX points in the window seats and 2 top tether points. So behind the back here, you'll find a proper top tether point, unlike in some other utes out there, like the Hilux, which has just 1 tether point behind the center seat. But like all utes, you might find that when you're trying to tension up that top tether strap on your child seat, it isn't quite as tight as you might like it to be. It is a bit of a problem with dual cab utes, but I think this one is one of the better examples when it comes to family friendliness. No matter which version of the Great Wall ute you choose, you're getting a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine, and it has decent power and torque outputs, but they're certainly not class-leading by any stretch of the imagination. Now, there's a rear-wheel drive version available. As I mentioned, the entry-level model is rear-wheel drive, but all other versions come with 4-wheel drive. It's a selectable 4-wheel drive system with low range and a locking rear diff. Hey, just a little tip, if you are interested in a more powerful version of the Great Wall Canon ute, then maybe hold off ordering one in 2023 because there could be a bigger diesel engine coming soon. Stay tuned. The drive experience could be better. Look, that's the truth, and I'm honest with you guys, it could be better. It's not necessarily the worst, especially if you've driven one of the old Great Wall utes. That Steed was an absolute stinker. But this one actually is relatively competitive when you consider the price that you're paying for this ute. I reckon it drives okay for the money. What isn't great about it is, well, the lane keeping system, which I turn off every single time I drive it because it's a very disruptive driving aid. It will actually push your wheels around a little bit more than you might feel comfortable with, but it is a pretty easy sequence to learn. You just have to turn it off every single time you drive the car, unfortunately. Otherwise, I reckon that the steering is okay. It does actually hold its line pretty well in corners. It is a bit heavy, it's got a bit of weight to it and a bit of feel to it as well, but I think it's suitable for this application. If you've driven a ute without anything in the tray, you'll know that when you put weight in the tray, things settle down substantially. I did exactly that with this ute. I went away for a week with this vehicle, loaded it up with my family, and the tray was absolutely chock-a-block. And I tell you what, it was a marked difference between when it doesn't have anything in the tray, as is the situation right now. A lot of utes have the same sort of characteristic. They are lumpy, bumpy, harsh and unpleasant when you have nothing in the tray. Some utes do it better than others. Ford and Volkswagen have nailed it when it comes to actual comfort without anything in the tray. The Hilux is probably the worst because, yeah, it's really, really sharp over bumps. This is probably in the middle ground. So not the worst, but not the best. The engine, okay, 2 litres with 400 Newton meters. For a lot of ute buyers, that's not gonna be enough. And I would say to them, test drive one before you actually make that call, because this is a pretty willing engine for the size and weight of this ute. And it's also got a relatively clever 8-speed automatic transmission. It's a ZF auto and it shifts pretty smartly, and it's not scared to shift when it thinks it should either, or hold a gear when it thinks it should. So it's one of the better transmissions that I've experienced in a diesel ute, especially if you are just tooling around town. It does try and get the most out of this little engine, comparatively little anyway. My advice would be go for a test drive in this ute. You might be surprised at just how good it is for the money. And that's the key thing, for the money, because it isn't setting any new standards for the ute segment, but hey, it's also a better option than you might think, in my opinion anyway. The official combined cycle figure for the 4x4 versions of the GWM ute is 9.4 litres per 100 Ks, and that is a pretty honest and real world possible number. Now, across a mix of driving, like I said, I did a long drive in this vehicle with a full load, and I've also done a bit of highway and urban running too without a load. You'll see my average on your screen now. I was okay with that. And if you're after the 4x2 version, well, the fuel consumption figure for it is a little lower. You'll see it on your screen now, but hey, it doesn't have 4-wheel drive, so it's a lighter ute, and that makes sense. This ute was awarded a 5-star ANCAP safety rating in 2021, which means it's got a heap of active safety technology included as standard across the entire range. Some of it needs some fine tuning, but it is good to have all the tech that it's got, including autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection. There's adaptive cruise control. You also get lane keeping assist. It's the one that needs some fine tuning. There's also blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert. And if you choose the top spec version, you get a surround view camera, while other ones get a reversing camera, and parking sensors are standard too. So it's got all that stuff ticked. And it's got all the airbag coverage you would expect, including dual front side, a front center airbag to stop head collisions in the event of a side impact, and curtain airbags that go to the back row as well. GWM is still a challenger brand in Australia, and it has one of the best warranties you can get for a ute. It's a 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty. The only one that's better than that is if you choose a Mitsubishi Triton, and then it's a conditional 10-year warranty. But look, you have to read the fine print with that one. This one, 7 years straight out of the box, is pretty good. There's 5 cap price services available for this ute as well. It's got a bit of a weird servicing interval plan. It's 6 months for the first service, and then every 12 months and 15,000 after that. But it is relatively affordable to maintain. It's got roadside assist included for the period that you'll see on your screen as well. So yeah, pretty enticing, I would say. I can totally see why you would choose a GWM Ute over any of the other rivals at this sort of price point, because it offers so much value for money that it is hard to pass up. If you are on a budget, you can't spend 70 grand on a dual cab Ute. You should be looking at this because it might be the right car for you. It does have a big tray, it's got a big cabin, it's got family friendly features, it's got safety technology, boxes all ticked. And while it might not be the best Ute to drive, some fine tuning could fix that. And who knows, there might even be some adjustments coming to the range in the coming year or so. But stay tuned, if there are, I will do a new review on the updated version if it arrives. And let me know if there's any other Utes that you'd like me to review in the comments section below. If you haven't already, like and subscribe, it helps a lot. And also hit the bell so you can keep up to date with everything I'm doing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.